Welcome to VB Coding. You can call me B. Today we'll be going over a couple ways where you can have coding repeat itself for multiple records or sheets by using either for each or do until. So keeping the examples simplified on the slides, for each is used for going through a given population regardless of extra criteria. So it'll go through all the records until it thinks it is complete. Meanwhile, do until, you can add in criteria to say, do until a value is blank or equals something. You can build off it to add more structure. If you want to pull a comparison with maybe SQL coding, like in SQL coding, if you want to remove data, truncate would remove all data regardless of any criteria because you can't add a where clause. So that's like your for each coding in VBA. There's no criteria. Meanwhile, using delete from in SQL coding, you can add in a where clause to add in criteria, more specifics. That's a comparison to using do until, where you can build in extra code to make it more specific, more robust. Also, I do copy codes from my tutorials to GitHub. So if you do want to have a copy of the scripts for yourself, you can search for my name, VB Coding. And I have a YouTube video files repository where all of my scripts are named after the YouTube video title. So here I have already opened up a SQL file. The file type has to be macro enabled workbook. It cannot be a standard Excel workbook. It needs to be macro enabled. I already have my developer tab showing. And if you don't have this showing, then go to File Options, go to Customize Ribbon, and check the box for the developer tab, and then it will appear at the top. Our data set for today, we're going to pretend that we work at maybe an animal rescue. We have a list of animals that were surrendered to us, and we want to keep records of their age, their weight, any health notes that we want to keep a record of. And don't take this as a true example of what a animal rescue uses. A real rescue would have probably a more robust form, probably including, has this animal seen a vet before? Can we have their contact information so we can have a history? Maybe what substrate was the animal using? Do they have access to UVB, to heat lamps? It could be much longer. So this is a very, very short and sweet list for our coding tutorial for today. Today we have a list of a few leopard geckos, bearded dragons, ball pythons, crested geckos, and a corn snake that were surrendered. Our end goal is to organize this information where per group that we have assigned the animals to, I want to have one tab for each group, because then later on we might have a specialist who focuses on only geckos. You can have a specialist that works on only snakes, so they can focus on the animals that they will be caring for. So going into Visual Basic, I have opened this window by going up to the Developer tab and clicked on Visual Basic, and that opened up this. Coding in VBA lives in modules, so go into Insert, Module, and I can rename this module. I'll just say A underscore organize. let's say if you did not see the properties window, if it was blank down here, you can click on the module and press F4 and it'll bring it up. And then you just update the name down there and it'll update up there. So now in our module, we can start our scripts. So VBA scripts start with sub, and then we give it a name. So I will just say organize, space, and then opening and closing parentheses, and hit enter. And that will automatically create the end sub. So our scripts are going to live in between the sub and end sub. When we start our scripts, let's keep organized. The script is being written by VeeBee. Created on May 17th. And how about I'll just say author. Tomato, tomato. Purpose. And as I'm adding in these comments, I'm just doing a single apostrophe at the beginning. So for the purpose, I will say organize, surrendered animal records for specialists, apostrophe, and I'm just using a forward dash to break up our data. I'm going to create a section just for our variables. So I'll say define variables and I have a few in mind. So first I want to keep track of maybe what current row that we are working on. So I'm going to say dim for dimension, crow as integer. I'm using integer because there's no row 2.5, 5.7, it's whole numbers. If I was using a variable for a number that had decimals, I would use double. I can add a comment at the end of a piece of code just by adding apostrophe down there. So I can explain crow means current row. In case anybody else comes after myself and they wonder, what does crow mean? What is this? Now they know. I will keep record of cells as range, dimension, WS as worksheet, and this is pretty self-explanatory, but WS is worksheet, dim group as string, and this will be our animal groups such as the gecko group, snake group, dim weight as double, because later on I want to do some conditional formatting, and per animal it can be different, even per type. So we will color those later on. Copy paste. Okay. So for step 1, we are going to get our distinct list of groups. So first we'll want to make sure that we are on our list sheets. And here, just to show you, you can take advantage of the record macro button Just be sure to make sure you go back, review the coding, clean it up. Don't use recordings as the golden copy. So when I hit record, it created a new module. And just so we can keep tabs on both. See, it recorded as I was adjusting the screen size. So just to clean that up real quick. So for my recording, if I have multiple tabs, I like to make sure the coding knows exactly which tab I want the coding to execute on. So I'm going to left click on the sheet name, and I see it recorded. I selected on our list tab and go up to A1, Control Shift down to highlight down, Control C to copy. And I'm going to go over past all of my data, maybe to column P. So I'll do Control V to paste. And now I'm going to highlight all of column P and go up to Data, remove duplicates. It has 4 unique values because it's including the column header. And then I like to end the recording at the start of the sheets. So now let's go back to what it recorded for us. I see a lot of unnecessary scrolling, so let's remove all of that. If you do not want your coding indented, do Shift Tab and it'll move it to the left. So it started off going to our Lists tab. We clicked on A1, Control Shift down and copied. It went to P1, it pasted. Next, let's see, let's add in comments. So add in an apostrophe. So copying group list. Pasting group lists in column P after data. Removing duplicates. So because of the range that I had copied over, it is specifically saying remove duplicates from rows 1 through 13 in column P. But what if the next time I run this macro and the number of rows is different? It could be longer. Well, I want my macro to be dynamic, so I want to remove the row reference so it looks at the entire column P. Remove duplicates. Get rid of all of this scrolling. We don't need all that scrolling. And not even that select. That's just clicking in P1. So remove that. And honestly, even this A1 isn't needed. It's just something I like to do where next time I open up the macro file, it's nice where when you click to a tab, you're at the very start. So that's just something I do. So I can copy, Control C from our recorded module, recorded coding, and I'm going to go back to our original golden copy. Go here, Control V to paste. So that's the end of step 1 of making the distinct list of groups. And this is important because we are going to create the tabs based off of that distinct list. So let's copy our break. Apostrophe to start our comments. Step 2, create a new sheet for each distinct group. And in this case, to accomplish it, we are going to do use for each next. So here, let's say for each cell. Oh, actually, I forgot a step. Yes, I know. I had said that WS, the variable, is going to stand for a worksheet. So I'm going to say set the worksheet that I care about, that we are going to be making duplicates of, is our main list worksheet. So set WS equal to our list worksheet. And now we'll say for each cell in that worksheet, range, we are going to be referencing this range up here. So column P is column number 16. So when doing the range in VBA, the first cell that we enter is the starting point, the second cell is the ending point. So I'm going to say on this worksheet, on specifically the list worksheet, the first cell, the range, is going to be on row 2, comma, column 16, or column P. So that's the starting point of a range. So now I'm going to do comma, when does the range end? So on our list worksheet, cells, I am now going to do a trick to find the last cell in that range. So I'm going to do rows count in column 16, column P, dot end XL up. So I'm pretty much using control up to find the last cell in that range. And then at the end of for each, you will use next. So now whatever we want to have copied, whatever script that we want repeated over and over and over and over, is going to be in between for each and next. So we are going to take this worksheet, copy, take this copy and put it after all of the other sheets. It's going to count how many sheets are in this workbook and just put it at the end. And then for this new worksheet, we need to give it a name. So it is referencing whatever cell, the cell that we are currently in while looking at that range in column P, it's going to take that value. So now let's take a pause real quick and make sure our coding is working. So I'm going to delete what's in column P. And I'm going to press F8. And I see I already made a mistake. Ah, I forgot S. Sheets. Pressing F8. And I can also make sure it read this list correctly. So if I click on cover, I'm on the cover tab. I'm going to left click this arrow, drag it up, press F8 again to re-execute that line, and see it navigated to the list tab. Went to A1, copying down, paste in column P, remove duplicates, and now for each cell in that worksheet within this given range, see down here at the bottom, I made a copy of that list tab. Press F8 again, and it renamed to Gecko. And it renamed to Gecko because that was the first item in the named range that we gave it. In that named range, we said to start, the first cell would be row 2, column 16. Gecko's in row 2. And I'm going to press F8 again. And instead of going to end sub, it actually went back to the top of the for each. It made a new tab at the bottom. Keep pressing again. So it made snake, and then after it made snake, we went to end sub, press F8 again, and the yellow rows disappear because it finished. And this is great. So now we have new tabs named after each group. But now we have a Gecko tab that still has information for animals that are not geckos. So we want to go back into each tab and clean it up. So that will be our next step. So within our for each loop, we're actually going to add in a do until loop. So for here, we are going to start cleaning up these sheets. So let's name this step 2B, cleanup sheets. We're going to start off defining our current row is going to be 2. Do until the cell on the current row that we're looking at in column 1 or column A, the value is nothing. And that's two quotation marks side by side. For the bottom of our do until, we are going to increment our current row by 1. So I will say the current row is going to be current row plus 1 loop. So now whatever coding that we put here in the middle is what is going to be repeated over and over for this do until loop. So now we are going to remove rows that do not belong to this group. We will look at the cell, the current row that we are on, column A. If the value in that cell does not equal cell.value, and remember cell, I know I haven't finished it yet, so it's upset with me. Remember that cell, that variable is coming from that distinct list that we made in column P. So cell.value. In other words, if it doesn't match our sheet name, then we are going to get rid of it. Then I'll say that cell, current row, current row. Take that entire row and delete it. So now, if I do nothing here, then it's going to miss the next row, possibly. So let's say I'm on current row 6, it gets deleted, then what's in row 7 becomes row 6, but by the time we get to the bottom of our loop, I'm going to say current row equals current row plus 1. So our macro is going to go ahead and continue moving down, not understanding, hey, the data has shifted now, so the row that we should be looking at, the count got off. So when I delete a single row, I want to make sure our current row number tracker doesn't get messed up. So I'll say current row equals current row minus 1. And when we have an if, I need to do a end if to end it. So now let's test this out. I'm going to delete the new tabs. And just for fun, I'll even click on a different tab. Press F8, F8. It's making our new list. It just made a new tab, a copy of the list. It renamed it to Gecko. And we're going to start our do until. So the current row is 2. The value did match. A2 matched the tab name. So it's going to keep on moving. We're looking at now row 3. It matches. Row 4. We are now on row 6 for the first bearded dragon. It does not match, so it deleted it. So now it's going to do current row equals current row minus 1. So right now it's thinking we're back at 5. But now to get ready for the next round in the do until, it's going to do that plus 1 like normal. So now it's going to look at row 6 the next time it looks down. Grab that second bearded dragon. And just keep on going. Now current row is number 8. The current row 8, column 1A is blank. So it ended the do until. So we have exited the do until loop. Now we're going back to our for each. We're at the next. It's starting all the way back up at the top. Made a new tab for bearded dragon. And now it's going to repeat all over again. And if I don't want to keep pressing F8, I can press the green play button at the top. And it finished. Here's our bearded dragon tab. And here's our snake tab. Always make sure the data looks correct. So I'm going to verify. I should have 6 geckos on our list tab. So if I go back over here, I've got 4, 5, 6. Bearded dragons, I have 2 on this tab. I have 2 in the original list. Snakes, I have 4. Go back to our original list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking good. I'm going to copy our break. And I could say finishing up. In my macros, I like to go back to the cover tab. I'll just select A2 just to be at the top. And then active workbook, save your workbook. And I just like to add a message box to say macro has finished running. Oh, got an extra space. Running. Comma, comma, add the title. Complete. And I can stop right here if I wanted to. But I want to do one more thing. So I want to continue building off of our cleanup sheet, do until loop. So I want to be able to highlight the weights of the animals so I can easily identify, are they overweight, are they underweight? So let's start defining our variables. So don't forget, our group is going to be from the cell that's on our current row that we're tracking, column 1, dot value, and their weight is going to be in cell, the current row that we're working on, column 6, dot value. We are going to use these in our step to see color weights depending by animal group. So now let's first say color if underweight, and then we're going to have another section for color if overweight. So if group equals gecko and weight is less than 50 grams, because we have multiple groups, I can actually have multiple sets of criteria here. So I can say or space underscore enter. I'll just do a few spaces so it's all lined up. Bearded dragon and weight. Let me capitalize this for consistency. Or group equals snake. So if it meets one of those criteria, then I'm going to say, take that current row, column 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for weight. And I want to make the interior color 65535, which is yellow. And also, this is from a quick 2-second Google search, just grabbing numbers out there. These, you would actually also have additional criteria, maybe include the animal's age, because obviously a baby is going to be lighter than a full-grown adult. You might want to include specifics on, the species. A tiny corn snake is not going to weigh as much as a boa constrictor. But this is just to give you an idea of what you can do. Just keep in mind when you have this kind of filtering, you have to treat the and like this is all grouped together. So if I have something additional, where if I have more than one thing for geckos, then I would have to say, specify gecko again, and weight is whatever, and age is yada yada. I'm just trying to say I would have to specify gecko again and again if there's multiple rows for it, for different criteria. And if you don't know how I got here, what you can do is if you do a recording, and remember when you make a recording, it made that new module, it's just going to build off of it. If I just start highlighting it, I can see what that recording looks like. So I can see it took my selection, it noted I am altering the interior of that cell, and the color is at 65535. That's the yellow. You don't need, I could take this if I wanted to, that would be totally fine, copy paste it over here. But for just cleaner code and to have everything on one row, instead of saying, here's my selection, focus on interior, I just told it, here's my cell, interior, dot color. So having everything on one row is just cleaner and shorter than just copying what the recording used. But again, that's also where I got the number, in case you were wondering. So now to note, if they're overweight, notice how I did not end this if yet. I'm going to do else if to continue that. So if the group is gecko and weight is greater than 80, space or space underscore group equals bearded dragon, and weight is over 510, space or underscore snake absolutely build this out for the weights by age and species. So you're going to see this is going to mess up the colors a little bit, depending on the type of snake or other animal. But just to show you, even your data might be right, but the coding is off. So some of the reasons why, you know, the business should be working with your IT group, whoever's working on this. Where was I? Cells? That's right. Cells current row 6. The interior color is going to be 255, which is red. And now if they're not underweight and if they're not overweight, then they should be good. So else, make the cells current row 6, interior color equal 5296274. Ooh, typo. 6274, which is green. And now I can do my end if. And also, after all of these tabs are created, I no longer need what is in column P. So I can say removing group column, highlight column P, selection, clear contents, and just get back to A1. So we're at the beginning. Control S to save. And let's give it a shot. I'm going to delete those rows or tabs. And press play. Type mismatch. Ooh. Let's see. So we got through geckos. We have only geckos. It looks like it highlighted correctly. But let's see. It went to bearded dragons. Actually, it's running through code that it doesn't need to worry about anymore. So how about this? Because it's trying to highlight and color rows that aren't for that section. Let's say, go to jump out. And I want it to go past all of this color coding. And it can actually go past... yeah, all that stuff. There we go. And truthfully, clearing out column P can be outside of that loop, because it only needs to run once on that sheet. And I'm going to let this run totally from the start again, see if we can recreate that error. No! Looks like it's all good. Complete macro has finished running. We have our original list with everything. We have our geckos lists, bearded dragon lists, and snake lists. So going back to our cover sheet, this is where we want to make sure our macro file is user-friendly. So we can say it was created on this date, when was it last updated, the purpose, steps on how to use your macro. Step 1, populate list tab. Step 2, click button below. I'm going to add a button in just a moment. Going to the developer tab, going to insert. I'm clicking the organize one because the macro 1 and 3, those are our recordings. Organized is our golden copy. And okay. Organize animals. If I left click it right now, it's going to run my code. If I want to rename this later on, right click it first so it gets the dots all around it. And now you can highlight the text, rename it, adjust it. And now, back in our file, I'm going to delete this other module. We want to keep it clean. We have our golden copy. And now we can say, after files are saved, clear workbook for future use. And I'll make a new recording, just super quick. And if I wanted to, I can actually, I should have just named this when I made it. Named it when I made it. Clean up. On the list. delete. Go back to cover. And this recording is pretty straightforward. Going straight to the list tab, highlighting from row 2, copying down, clear contents. So I don't think I need to make any adjustments unless I want to add comments. Maybe I can save it. But that recording is not going to clear out these extra tabs. We want to make sure our team has those saved. I can make a new button for our cleanup. There we go. So here, let's actually delete all of this. We now have our data recopied into the list tab. So let's go over to our cover and make sure things look okay. Step 1, populate list tab. Done. Step 2, click button below. We got our little pop-up, macros finished running, and we can see our new tabs. And now let's pretend we've saved all of these saved all these tabs, new workbooks. So these are no longer needed. And now we just want to clean this up for the next time this is run. So I can say clean up. And I did not add a message box, but now if I go to the list, it's all cleaned up. And in a future video, I am planning on making a recording continuing this macro, but we want to make a copy of each of those tabs into their own workbooks, into their own subfolder in a directory. And that way your specialists, your snake specialist, your gecko specialist, they'll have that information ready for them at their fingertips. Hello. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a scenario in mind, feel free to email me at askvbcoding@gmail.com and I'll consider them for future videos. I really appreciate your time and thank you again for watching. Have an awesome night. Goodbye.